It's without a doubt that the global COVID-19 pandemic has impacted young people's job prospects. Not only have employment opportunities been affected, but the upskilling of young people has come to a halt because of the COVID-19 lockdown regulations. One technology company, however, is bridging that gap by training more than 19,000 young people as part of the 53 billion rand contract awarded by PRASA to modernize the country's public rail infrastructure. Technology company iOS Online is equipping historically disadvantaged South Africans with much-needed critical skills. To speak more on this, I'm now joined by the company's group chair, that's John O'Connor. John, thanks very much for your time and welcome to the AM Report. Perhaps as a start, let's reflect on the training program in and of itself. I mean, how is it aiming to try bridge the gap, so to speak?
Yes, so I think it's really important in South Africa. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and your listeners. It's really, really important for South Africans to understand that it is not only our state and the government that must take on the cudgels of making sure that our young people get jobs, but we also have to rely and really push the envelope with the private sector as well. And one of the companies in the private sector that has come forward is Gibela. And as part of their contract with PRASA, they have decided that they're focusing on those skills that the economy really require, and therefore have invested in training 19,000 youngsters. So we're finding ourselves in a place where people cannot do what they used to do because of social distancing, and therefore huge investments is required to make sure that youngsters can carry on, so that carry on learning, so that beyond the COVID lockdown, they actually have the requisite skill to be gainfully employed in the economy.
Yeah, look, I mean, the help is going to be appreciated irrespective of where it comes from. However, many, of course, will be asking questions around PRASA, of all companies, being the one to award this contract, about 53 million rand or so. It's also known to be a company that's been mired in all kinds of corruption allegations. It's a cash-strapped SOE, a long list of concerns, really. Are you worried at all about this association?
No, not at all. The contract has been awarded to a Tier 1 French company that has a black empowerment entity in South Africa called Gibela. And therefore, this contract is totally above board, and it's kind of a good story to tell, where a government entity is keeping a private entity's feet to the fire to make sure that their social obligations that they've set themselves up to, that they have actually adhered to that, and that they're actually doing what they were supposed to be doing. We know so many cases where government contracts are awarded, that there are social offsets that should benefit the communities, and those don't happen. In this particular case, we've been involved in this program for the last 3 years, and it's been going plain sailing.
Man, you help disadvantaged youth, and I guess that's a term open to interpretation. Take us through the recruitment process for young people to be enrolled in this program. What are some of the considerations to be made there?
So, as you know, that Gibela finds itself in the Springs Nigel area, and therefore their first obligation is a catchment area of all of those communities like Geluksdal, Takane, Duduza, and so on. And therefore it's a really open process where youngsters are actually social media adverts are put out, and youngsters are invited to apply. And they apply in their thousands to become part of the program. And through a very democratic and rigorous process, the ones that would really make it are selected into the program. But what we should be asking is to say we should be asking many more companies to join in these kinds of efforts, because we just have thousands and thousands of youngsters out there that they do not have opportunities to train, and they do not have opportunities to find job opportunities. Yeah, no, and it's really, really a thing that we should, that we all should work a little bit harder on.
And my understanding is that this is not necessarily the first time you've kind of come forward and tried to assist, especially in the midst of a health crisis. You were also at the helm in some respects of Love Life at the peak of the HIV/AIDS prevention program here in the country. I mean, on a very personal level, I mean, what does being involved in these kind of initiatives mean to you? And I guess you've touched on this in some respects, but what message are you hoping to spread to others?
Well, yes, I mean, that time we had an epidemic that we wanted to save the lives of young people in a particular way so that they don't get infected with HIV and AIDS. And this time around, we have a new pandemic. And that pandemic has actually uh, has got two complexities that we have to solve. The one complexity is to stem the tide of the infection rate, but the other complexity is that we're going to sit with 7 million more young people that will not, or people that will not have jobs. And that means that 17 million people won't have jobs. And it will require a huge effort to make sure that we rally everybody in South Africa to be able to find those kinds of employment opportunities for those young people. And unfortunately, those employment opportunities are not going to come from the corporates, because the corporates are also constrained. But they can help us in order to make sure that we actually do train young people in the kind of skills that the economy require. We are happy that we have a company like IBM that is supporting this thing hugely. They brought about 10 to 15 of world experts out here last year to say, how do you reshape how young people are skilled for a modern economy, almost a new collar skill, as it were. And those are the kinds of things that we all should embrace, especially from a government perspective, in order for us to kind of create a tipping point in this pandemic and in this jobless situation.
Absolutely. It's undoubtedly an important intervention. So thumbs up to the good work that you do. I certainly appreciate your time and your insights. That there is John O'Connor. He's the group chair of the iOS technology company that's working in collaboration with other entities to ensure that young people are upskilled during this time of COVID-19.